through 8th grade, we have full dual language classrooms. We still have some traditional English classrooms in grades 3rd through 5, but they are definitely a part of the Linda Verde family. They are by no means excluded. They have embraced, and we have embraced the community that we work with. We have 821 students. 92% of them are low socioeconomic. 27% are English language learners, and 15% of them are SPED. Although we are a school of choice, we are very much still a community school, because a lot of the members that make up our community today, our student community today, are from the neighborhood. We have some that have joined us from outside the district or from other parts within our district, but we are pretty much a neighborhood school. A little more about our demographics. Our dual language classes are made up 33% Spanish speaking only, 33% bilingual students, and 33 native English speakers, which this will also give you somewhat of the representation of our makeup of our classrooms, considering that we have 159 African American students at Linda Verde that are in the combination of traditional English classes and dual language classes. We have 608 Hispanic Latino. As I mentioned, we have 33% of them that are bilingual. They may speak a little bit of the language, but they're not fluent in the language. And then we have our English learner community that also is part of the makeup of our classrooms. So you can see that we embrace the diversity of our community that we currently have at Linda Verde, which makes up our 821 fabulous students.
Okay, so we wanted to just include some photos just to personalize it, because we know you've seen a lot of school plans and they can be a little dry, so we wanted to liven things up. And so this is what learning safely looks like at Linda Verde this year. We have 2nd grade on top, and the 3rd, 6th, and 8th grade classes you can see. And we had a lot of fun last week during Lion Pride Week. We had Crazy Hair Day, we had Hat Day, and we had participation from TK all the way up through 8th grade, and it was a really great time. You can kind of see the difference between at the top here, we have a 1st grade participation in Hat Day and what it looks like in 1st grade. And then you have our very cool 8th graders in the bottom there showing off their hats. And you can see that some of our parents have some amazing hairstyling skills. And we'll get into this a little bit more, but social contracts is a huge part of what we do. And we just wanted to show off some of our amazing social contracts. Every single classroom has their unique take on this incredibly important practice. And every classroom finds a way to make it their own and make it part of their own community of learners. And then another way that we show up our Lion Pride is by door decorating. And this was one of our door decoration winners recently, and pretty amazing. All right.
For our root cause analysis, we looked at 2 sets of data. We looked at observation data as well as student growth and performance on iReady. And those 2 led to the first 2 areas of need, our action areas. And the first one being a need for rigorous standards-based instruction. So where are we spending our instructional time? What are we targeting? Do we have intentionality? And with wanting to answer that, we needed to have a system in place, a school-wide approach. And with the high number of new teachers that we have, the work needed to start with building that capacity. And our second area is a systematic academic vocabulary development. So our data also indicated that our students needed to make gains in comprehension, and it hinged on that vocabulary piece. And with our high population of ELs and the socioeconomic status of our community, it really needed to be taught. It needs to be taught explicitly, regardless of the language. And then the third area is really more of a non-negotiable with this whole pandemic. We've changed, our students have changed, school is different. So what are we doing to improve student engagement? What are we doing differently to reach our students? And what are we doing to foster that safety in regards to psychological and emotional safety? And so that brings us to our 3 signature practices. First one, that standards-based instruction with those 2 pillars, the learning intentions and success criteria. So with those and the balanced lesson design template as a tool with the context of high priority standards, it really has allowed us, provided the structure for us to grow that capacity within our staff, because we do have a high level of new teachers. And then with our vocabulary development, that is our newest signature practice, but then also aligning that as a site, developing a common approach of vertical articulation. And our third one, capturing kids' hearts. So in this year, we're going out to be a showcase school. So we're very excited about that. And working again with that success criteria more deeply this year, and with the social contract and building that capacity as a whole.
All right. So then that brings us to our specifics of the SIPSA site goals. And so for the goal 1 of academics, every student will demonstrate continuous growth towards mastery of Common Core state standards as measured by a variety of assessments. That's the goal, is academic improvement. And so our 3 areas of focus, are 3 action items, or strategies rather, that all of our action items are listed under, fall into the category of standards-based instruction, dual language immersion, and media arts. In our second site goal, equitable learning practices and positive learning environments, we will provide the necessary resources and supports to create and maintain positive learning environments to eliminate barriers to success for all students. And where we're going to see the bang for our buck in this area is with our academic vocabulary development that we just talked about, our culturally relevant books and resources, designated ELD, integrated ELD, and academic English development in 6th through 8th grade. In our third goal that focuses on safe and supportive environments, we will provide safe, secure, equitable, and operationally efficient environments at all facilities for students, staff, and community members. And the areas that we are focusing on this year will be capturing kids' hearts, positive behavior intervention systems, and Kelso's choices. And last but not least, our family and community engagement. We will build positive partnerships with families and community by increasing participation and active involvement on campuses and at site and district events. And where we will see the bang for our buck in this goal is through targeted parent outreach, family engagement, as well as continuing with our school site council, ELAC, PTO, and coffee with the principal. And this year, we are absolutely getting our AAAC off the ground once and for all. Off the ground and functional and awesome. And that is it for our SIPSA presentation. And we invite any questions that you may have. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Mr.
Heather. We appreciate that.
Mr. Wynn, I'm sorry, Mr. TP has a question or comment.
Hey, I had a question, 2 questions. This one is about the dual language immersion. You do like all English half the day and all Spanish the other half of the day? I was just kind of curious how that works.
We'd love to explain that to you. We have a 90-10 model. And so our 90% of instruction for kindergarten and first grade is in Spanish, 10% is in English, and it goes by subject matter, not by day. And the English increases by 10% up until it's 50-50 at 5th grade. It maintains 50% English, 50% Spanish from 5th through 8th grade.
Okay, great. And then also, I was just curious, what kind of programs do you use for the media programs?
For media arts, we have several programs. One of our most popular is actually Soundtrap, which is an audio soundtrack program that the students use in conjunction with Seesaw or WeVideo. We have a number of programs. It depends on the grade level because we want it to continuously increase so that students don't get bored if they've already seen a particular platform. And so we have units at each grade level that build on the grade prior.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd love to show you some examples of our media arts at another meeting. We'd love to be invited back.
I had a quick question just regarding your first 8th grade graduation. You actually had students with you from, I guess, 2014 all the way through now. So they're how many are you talking about roughly?
36.
36. And then my other question was, looks like a great program. Your enrollment, I saw you had 700 on the top and 821, and then last year you were like at 964. So, can you explain where your numbers are coming from?
So it's a little confusing when we're doing a SIPSA presentation because the data in the SIPSA is from last year,
Right.
and our performance data, for example, is from last year, and so it's kind of a mixture, and we apologize for the mixture of numbers there between last year and this year. But if you're asking why our enrollment appears to be declining, it is because as we expand dual language immersion, we are closing our traditional English classes. And also because having 1,000 students on a campus that was built for 300 was a nightmare. And so we're very excited to actually be at a number that is much more appropriate and realistic for our campus and for our community.
Okay, thank you.
And as a reminder, that was by design. So a couple of years ago, we did some rezoning so that we would be able to accommodate that transition to a full school of choice. The other thing that I would like to commend you on is your wonderful presentation. Very exciting about ALMA and the Academy of Language and Media Arts. And just to also remind the board that we are fully committed, and it's a slow process, but you may recall Linda Birdie Center moved out, became Promise Academy. So we are going to be working on redesigning that facility so that it will be a full service media arts lab. So very excited about that, but it is a work in progress, but we are fully committed to that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, I know 3 people that are really excited.
There are about 800 people that are really excited. All righty. Is that it? Are we good?
That's it. Thank you, Linda Birdie.
So you come to a board meeting and you hear positive screaming. That's pretty cool. You got to give that one up. All right. So for the next school that we're going to have coming up today is going to be the Miller Jaguars. They're going to be coming on up and they're going to be providing the presentation of their SIPSA.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. It says anything.
Sorry?
What she said? What she said?
Okay.
You know what she said? Something about connecting to the internet.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Board President Nguyen, board members, Dr. Bowery, Superintendent, and cabinet members. I'm Ms. Robertson, Erie Robertson, and I am the proud principal of Miller Elementary School. I would like to take this moment to go through our presentation for our SIPSA, our Student Plan for Student Achievement, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce my co-presenters with me today. So I have Mr. Timothy Hunter, our assistant principal, and Mrs. Allison Hazard, our instructional coach. I would also like to take a moment to virtually introduce all of our instructional team. These dedicated instructors are dedicated to supporting the success, our academic and social emotional success of our students, and they're integral in forming and shaping Miller's mission, vision, and our forward projection in exiting CSI status.
We're going to play with the microphone a lot today. Don't mind us. All right. Good evening, board members, and good evening, cabinet members. It's great to be here with all of you tonight. At Miller Elementary, we have lofty expectations, which are embodied in our detailed mission statement. So hang on to your hats as I share it with you tonight. We at John and Jacqueline Miller Elementary believe in holding high expectations for students and staff. We as a staff are committed to offering options and opportunities for students to achieve to their fullest potential. In doing so, we will promote partnerships with families and communities and establish a safe and supportive learning environment for students and staff.
And so we moved it back down because I am vertically challenged. I would like to share some facts about Miller. Miller currently serves 681 students in the grades TK through 6th grade. Our ethnic demographics, the composition of our student body reflects the high diversity of the Lancaster community. Miller was identified as a comprehensive support and improvement school in December of 2019. And as such, we have instituted teacher training, student support, and enrichment programs to better serve our students and to address the academic gaps while promoting growth. We are 80% socioeconomically disadvantaged, 10% are English language learners, and 11% of our Miller students identify as homeless or foster youth.
Good afternoon. Oh, Lord. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, board, cabinet and board members. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'm kind of in awe of this space right now, so just taking it in for a second. But I'm going to actually go ahead and dive into the root cause of what has been driving Miller's signature practices. During the last couple years, we have determined, based on data collection, that we need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to the basics of teacher collaboration and Tier 1 differentiated instruction focused on primarily the English and language arts and math content. And with that, we want to dive into what the district has actually identified as our high priority standards.
So when we're talking about our signature practice, we have a main signature practice, which is facilitated PLCs. These meetings are facilitated by myself, Mr. Hunter, or Ms. Hazard. During these meetings, we structure our PLCs so that they function around the 4 questions and around data. We'll come back to that in a minute. We have sub-signature practices that fall directly underneath our facilitated PLCs, and that's academic intervention to meet the needs and fill in some of our gaps, our learning gaps. We have differentiated instruction, which is reteaching during our core time, our Tier 1 instruction. And then we have PBIS, which is our expectations, our behavioral expectations for the site. So we have jump-started into our PBIS as we return to the campus, reestablishing our norms and expectations, as some of them, not all of them, but some may forgotten some of our expectations during our virtual school year. It's me again. So, looking at what type of PLCs do we have at Miller? So we have several different types of PLCs. We have facilitated PLCs, and then we have our instructional leadership PLC, our grade level PLCs, and our committee PLCs. The main signature practice, we take this model of our PLC and we apply them to all of our different meeting types, revolving around data and always focusing on the 4 questions of our PLCs. What do we want our students to know? And how are we able to do it? How will we know when they've learned it? How will we respond when the students don't learn it? And how will we extend the learning for the students who have learned it? So these apply to all of our types of different meetings that we have during our meeting times.
So at Miller, we have a systematic approach of progress monitoring. Each of our signature practices that are being implemented in order to get all of our students to succeed are deployed on a cycle. This enables our teachers to focus more in depth on using the signature practice effectively and with fidelity. Our facilitated PLCs occur regularly either at staff meetings or during release time after school, at which time our teams collaborate and take a look at the data to determine the effectiveness of the strategy when it comes to students meeting the high priority standards.
During grade level PLCs, grade levels will determine which high priority standards they will focus on in the content areas of English or language arts and math. They will then choose which form of assessment they would like to move forward with, and they have the option for common form of assessment of using Illuminate or iReady, standards mastery. Grade levels will choose from a variety of CFAs as well, they will have the ability to use CSAs as well. There will be times teachers will choose those, and then we will also focus on the Swiss data, and we will speak of that in goal 3, which will be talked about in the next slides. Okay, it's me again. All right, moving right into our SIPSA Goal 1, which is Academics Facilitated PLC. Every student will demonstrate continuous growth towards mastery of Common California's core state standards as measured by a variety of assessments. But how will Miller make sure they achieve this goal? We will use the Universal Act, Plan, Study, Do model. We will act by providing numerous opportunities for teachers to collaborate and discuss how they will help students reach standards mastery. In addition to the district-provided PLCs, Miller has provided opportunities for grade levels to collaborate. These additional opportunities include facilitated PLCs during the workday with release time and optional paid PLCs after school if a grade level chooses to do so. They will also plan, and during this time, they will plan and create targeted lessons on students' needs based on data. They will study and review and analyze that data as they continually meet with their PLC. And we will continue to do so and carry out the plan, document any type of problems, and collect any type of data.
So with goal 2 of our plan, we're focusing on equitable learning practices and positive learning environment. Our plan is to do whatever is necessary to eliminate the barriers that get in the way of the success of all of our students. We're especially going to focus our efforts on students who are our English language learners. In order to do this, our teachers will provide differentiated English language development instruction to our EL students 5 days a week based on our EL students' LPAC levels. Our teachers will continue to focus on developing our EL students' language proficiency during EL time, but will also support our EL students who have been reclassified during core instruction. What I really love about our staff is that we do a great job of exhibiting a growth mindset. So with that in mind, we'll continue to make sure that our professional development is provided on targeted English language development instruction through implementing of guided language acquisition design and specially designed academic instruction and English strategies.
Goal 3 of our SIPSA involves our safe and supportive environment. Miller is refocused, and energized in our site-wide programs. We have successfully launched our PBIS, recentering our students, teachers, staff on our daily expectations at Miller, which you can hear every single day on our morning announcements, which are, remember students, be respectful, responsible, ready, and safe. And in the words of Kid President, just be more awesome. Our second step curriculum, which is taught weekly and has embraced wholeheartedly by our teachers. We know that conflicts will arise. And so using our Kelso's Choice in our classrooms, our site counselor has visited every classroom, reteaching, again, our Kelso's Choice strategies and helping those students solve the small problems, but also know when to seek assistance for the big problems. We have launched our Strive for Less Than 5 attendance. T-shirts are being worn on Wednesdays. Pledges are signed, and we are ready to go and are headed in for our challenge.
So with goal 4 of our plan, focusing on engaging our families and community by building positive partnerships and increasing involvement as much as possible. That's our focus. We are very grateful to have Miss Alta Moreno, our wonderful family ambassador. Did I just zoomed it in? I hit the plus sign. I think I got it. Look at that. She's so amazing. It just made the screen, grow. Our wonderful family ambassador is amazing, and our counselor, Miss Monica Rodella, they have been tasked with continuing to support our families through our Parenting Partners program, and they'll continue to focus on this work throughout our school year. Along with this, we will continue to engage our many stakeholders this year through a variety of parent involvement groups like School Site Council, English Language Advisory Committee, and our AAAC, African American Advisory Council. One of the great byproducts, if there is a great byproduct, of this past school year is that we learned to pivot with regard to our messaging to our families. So with that in mind, we will be continuing to grow our social media and electronic platforms such as Facebook, Class Dojo, our Miller website, as well as Blackboard, Peach Jar, and our electronic display in our office lobby. And also, we've just begun the work starting our YouTube channel. So be looking for that.
And so with that, I would like to thank the board members, President Nguyen, our cabinet, and Dr. Bowers for giving us the opportunity to highlight Miller and to present our SIPSA this evening. If you have any questions, the floor is open.
Actually, I think Mr. TP has a question.
I just want to say, great program. We have 2 alumni from your school, so great job.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
That was just awesome.
And no presentation should ever be completed without the kid president being quoted someplace at some point in time. All right, our final school for tonight. We're going to be having New Vista come up, and they're going to be providing an overview of their SIPSA.
Right, you're going to use this one to go forward, this one to go back.
Gary, I have to bring it down too. So I'm a little shorty too. Yes, that's right. So hello, board members, Dr. Bowers, cabinet. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We are looking forward there we go, to presenting our SIPSA plan to you. We are very excited at New Vista. We are positive every single day. We are supportive of one another. We have wonderful, wonderful kids. I have to tell you, the staff and I sit around and we do talk about, you know what, we have amazing kids. We are so fortunate to have them with us. They're making good choices. Sometimes not always, but they are making good choices and we are so proud of them. Today, I have with me my two assistant principals. I have Joe Nosick and then Edith Avles, who is brand new to our school and to our district, but we are so fortunate to have her and we are proud that she's doing an amazing job.
All right, good evening, everyone. It is an honor to be here today. I am Edith Aviles, Assistant Principal at New Vista Middle School. I would like to introduce to you our instructional leadership team, and I would like to read out their names as a way of shouting out to them how amazing they are and dedicated into our making our school a wonderful place for our students to learn. From our 6th grade level, we currently have represented by Denisha Tyler and Michelle Ramirez. From our 7th grade level, we have Darcy Koskela and Molly Mansubi. From our 8th grade level, we have Kelsey Waddell and Megan McDonald, as well as Amy Dominguez. We also have from SDC, we have Christine Lamoureux. We have instructional coach Heather Hibbets, and we have our wonderful principal Tracy Curtis, Mr. Nosick, and I.
Okay, for our mission statement. The mission of New Vista Middle School is to provide every student an opportunity to acquire the knowledge, skills, and qualities necessary to be a successful, contributing, and productive member of society. To this end, we absolutely believe, all students at New Vista Middle School will be successful. New Vista Middle School educators will collaboratively design instruction based on Common Core standards to promote student success. Acquisition of skills and use of technology for the 21st century learner are critical for student success. All members of the New Vista Middle School community are stakeholders, and their involvement plays a critical role in our student success. Maintaining a safe, healthy, and respectful environment is essential to student success. Maintaining communication between home, school, and the community is essential to student academic support and success.
Good evening, board. Good evening, cabinet. I'm Joe Nosick, assistant principal at New Vista Middle School. So I'm just going to go over our school story. New Vista Middle School is a large, comprehensive campus with 851 students and 96 staff members. Our school has been educating students since the last century, 1994, as a neighborhood school within the heart of Lancaster. The New Vista Learning Community serves students in grades 6 through 8 and promotes a positive school environment where everyone feels respected, understands their responsibilities, and experiences success in their learning environment. New Vista teachers and support staff are committed to developing and maintaining positive relationships with all students, in addition to their commitment to providing all students with a rigorous learning environment. Our focus areas within our PLCs are teacher clarity, PBIS, CKH, and small group instruction.
At New Vista, we do recognize that math and reading scores need to continue to improve. We will continue student growth by focusing on our high priority standards, small group instruction, and teacher clarity as a school. As a staff, New Vista embraces the need to continue our work with campus climate and culture. Counting last year and this year, we have 15 new teachers. At the beginning of the year, we had 18 new teachers, and then we collapsed the class and one moved to Lava. But they are new to our site. 15 teachers who have never been on the New Vista campus. And so we recognize that, and we are focused on their continuous growth. We will continue to utilize Capturing Kids' Hearts and PBIS strategies school-wide in all settings to support the decline in suspensions for all groups, which in turn supports improved learning and achievement. Our signature practice. Teachers will collaborate and deliver high-quality instruction based on priority standards, including the use of learning intentions and success criteria. Learning intentions will be posted in every classroom. Small group instruction will be used to enrich instruction and to provide students with more opportunities to engage with reading and math practices. As I'm walking through the classrooms, I am noticing that our new teachers, even our new teachers, have the learning intentions posted. We have an amazing instructional coach that is working with our teachers every day, making sure that they understand what teacher clarity is, what learning intentions are, and what our priority standards are. Teachers will implement Capturing Kids' Hearts with fidelity. Our PBIS ROAR matrix will be posted throughout the campus and used for reference for expected behavior. All staff will utilize our CKH and PBIS strategies while engaging with students. As we're hiring new staff, we are making sure that they understand what our matrix is and what our strategies that we use for CKH. The signature practices directly tie into the school district's priorities of PLCs, PBIS, and high priority standards instruction. Site goal number 1, academics. Every student will demonstrate continuous growth toward mastery of California Common Core standards as measured by a variety of assessments. We will increase student achievement in ELA by 5 points or more as measured by the CAS in English Language Arts. We will also do that in mathematics with a score of 5 points or higher as measured in CAS in mathematics. All teachers will deliver high priority standards based instruction from collaborative planning time using learning intentions and success criteria in both whole group and small group instruction. That is a big focus of ours, as I was talking to Bart earlier in the week. Small group instruction is amazing. In our intervention classes for ELA and math, we are already using small group. We have our MTSS. We only have one at this point, but we are using her. She is in our intervention classes. She is working in small group. She loves it. She just tells me how amazing it is working with the small group of students, reviewing over the high priority standards. So we're hoping that we get some more shortly. We will monitor this by walkthroughs, ILT work, PLC work, iReady data, and CAS data. Arts Goal 2, equitable learning practices and positive learning environments. We will provide the necessary resources and supports to create and maintain positive learning environments to eliminate the barriers to success for all of our students. Our EL students, our goal is to increase and make sure they are proficient by at least 10% as measured by the English Language Progress Indicator in the California State Dashboard. Our focus will be on providing a wide range of interventions, supports, and electives to provide equity and access for all students. Electives will include math and reading intervention, as well as Avid Excel for EL students in grades 6 through 8. Professional development will be provided by our Avid coordinator and Avid Excel teachers. It will also be provided on ELL strategies by our EL coordinator and making sure that it's implemented in the classes by going through walkthroughs, looking at our PLC work, looking at our iReady data. Also, our bilingual paraeducator is already in our ELD classes, and she's working one-on-one and in small group instruction. site goal number 3, safe and supportive environments. We will provide safe, secure, equitable, and operational efficient environments at all facilities for students, staff, and community members. We will increase our attendance by 0.5% over the course of the year as measured by our average daily attendance. We will have a decrease in one-time student suspensions for all student groups by 5% as measured by the California School Dashboard Suspension Indicator. We are providing weekly incentives for our students. Yesterday, we actually gave one of our students an electrical scooter that we happen to have in our, I want to say warehouse, but it's just a closet. But we were able to provide that to our student who had excellent attendance, everyday attendance, coming to class, doing her very best, and achieving great success in her class. We are still utilizing our admin, our family ambassadors, office staff, and counselors for verifying absences and putting interventions in place. We are having monthly attendance meetings to review the A2A reports and letters. Every single day, our students are being greeted. They are being greeted by the administrators. We 3 are out there. Our counselors are in our quad. Our psychologists are usually in our quad too, mingling with our students. And we have several of our teachers who are out there just greeting our students, saying, welcome to our school. So glad that you're here. Even our students that are sometimes a little tardy, they still absolutely get a warm welcome. We tell them every single day, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate that you're here. Let us know if we can support you in any way. Site goal 4, family engagement. New Vista Middle School is focused on building positive relationships with our families and community that center around the success of our students. We will increase parent involvement and feedback through school activities such as parent conferences, school site council, our AAAC committee, cultural heritage club, and English language advisory council. We will also increase family attendance at school events through positive family partnerships, welcoming families to our school at back to school night, open house, awards assemblies, and family nights. We will monitor ourselves through the Youth Truth Survey, meeting sign-in sheets, committee and council participation, and the school calendar. Oh, I'm done. I'm done, sorry. I was just so wrapped into it. So at this time, if you have any questions for the New Vista admin, we will welcome them.
Mr. Giles?
Yeah, I had a quick question for you. I was looking through your plan. I'm just kind of curious, can you give me an example of a learning intention?
A learning intention. So when I was in the math class the other day, they were saying that I can divide decimals by whole numbers. So it is a learning intention. What is expected by the end of the lesson? What will the student learn? And so they can measure their success. The success criteria is telling a student, if you're able to divide by this number and get the result, then that's successful. If you're able to manipulate the numbers into a percentage, then that means you're successful. So the learning intention is telling them what they're striving for. And then the success criteria tells them if they're being successful.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, New Vista. And again, thank you to all of the schools for your presentations this evening and all of your hard work that not only went into the presentation, but goes into the work itself each and every day. So thank you. Board, with that, I would like to request that we return to item number 4, public input on closed session agenda items. And we have none this evening.
Thank you. We'll move to number 5, closed session items, and those will be personnel matters with respect to every item of business to be discussed
by closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957. Public employee discipline, dismissal, release, reassignment, non-reelect. Employee relations with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, which will include conference with a labor negotiator. Item C, pupil personnel with regard to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Ed Code 35146. Item D, legal issues with respect to every item of business to be discussed in closed session pursuant to Government Code 54956.9. The TK-12 reopening protocols and e-facilities. With that, at 5:13, we will recess to closed session.
Thank you very much.
Just stop video, right? Yeah. Whatever you.
Well, yeah, no, I'm signed in. There's no actual items that happen in the packet. Right. Like normally there'd be an attachment I could open it, but there's not one, so I just thought.
This.
Nice, mine is live, you know it? Their mic is live.
I know, I just.
Just have a little chat. I got it. It's gonna be a long night. Make sure I'm not talking about something. Those are those similarities are in this one.
Hello? The Subway. I got these at Subway today. Is that on? Catching it. Oh, is it done? That's really bizarre. No, I had this chair. No, but then somebody moved it and took it out. And then I got that chair. And that chair seems better than someone took my chair last time. Like I had the chair that I use right now. And someone took it, so I had to do another one. Oh. Whatever it is, it's really sensitive. That's just funny. That's just funny.
salary, if you can relay that we're praying for and we're doing well.
We're going to go. Good evening. We're going to reconvene to open session at 6:19. There was no action taken in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.1. And now if Dr. Freeze would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
Thank you, Dr. Freeze. We'll move on to the informational items, number 10, the enrollment report.
In Mrs. Cooksey's absence, I believe Mr. Conti will be sharing the enrollment report this evening.
This is a first for me. I'm excited to be able to do this. So I'm pleased to share with the board that our total K-8 enrollment as of October 4th was 13,786. ECE total enrollment 528. That represents a district-wide total of 14,314 students. That is a gain of 14 students from our last board meeting and a gain of 152 from a year ago at this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, item B, the week of the school administrator, October 10th through the 16th of this year.
Yes, it is. And we have that there is an informational item to just share with the board that we are pleased to have an opportunity to celebrate and acknowledge the hard work of our administrators throughout the Lancaster School District. But this is not just for Lancaster School District. This is all over. But indeed, we are celebrating the week of the school administrators. And for those that are here in the audience, I applaud you. Let's give them a big hand. It's coming up next week. I know we're a little bit early, but we do want to make sure that we recognize that. And I believe that there was some nice certificates and other surprises on the way next week.
Great. Thank you. Are there any other informational items?
Actually, we do have one other item, and Dr. Freeze has an update for you on one of our facilities projects.
Thank you, Dr. Bowers. Wanted to alert the board that most likely at the next board meeting, we're going to be bringing forth a change order from the Joshua Phase 3 project, and it's related to Building R, which is the old library at Joshua. It's the one that's being turned into the multimedia center. And it's a unique building, unlike any of the other buildings on the campus. So there were some discoveries that were made when they opened up the east and west walls to put windows in there. Some decay and rot that had to be addressed that was destroying the integrity of the stucco on the building. And the intention was to keep a lot of the stucco on that building, but as they opened up the walls, the stucco just started falling off because of the decay that was underneath. This change order is a time and materials change order. So I can't tell you what the value is until it's completed. And my understanding is they've completed the work. They are now simply putting together the actual change order package. So wanted to give the boards a heads up that that'll be coming at a future board meeting.
That completes all of the informational items updates.
Thank you. We'll move to number 11, curriculum highlights. The Environmental Club.
Well, we are pleased this evening. He's making his way to the podium to have curriculum highlights provided by Fulton and Alsbury's one and only Dr. Andy Gladfelter.
Well, thank you so much for having us. I have with us Ms. Anik Dagama, sixth grade teacher of math, science, and engineering for Fulton and Ellsbury. You've heard about our robotics club. You've heard about Science Olympiad, and we are here to share with you a new club that's not new in a number of ways. We are pleased to have officially an environmental club this year, and we have leading it Ms. Dagama, who is a special teacher. She is a Mojave Environmental Education Consortium Teacher of the Year in, I believe, it's 2017, which comprises not just Lancaster, not just the Antelope Valley, not just Antelope Valley and Victor Valley, but Antelope Valley, Victor Valley, and Southern Kern, giant area. And she was selected as Teacher of the Year. And she's also supported some Students of the Year that we're going to see here. But this is a way for kids to connect to school. This is a way for kids to connect to ideas that are innovative. In the news, we hear about environmentalism, and we are preparing kids for their future. So I want to turn it over to Ms. Dagama to share about her environmental club.
Turn this forward. Is it this one? Okay. Start with the past experiences here on the environmental club. The environmental teacher of the year, Dr. Glatfelter touched on that. There's Ms. Hazard also was the environmental teacher of the year, I believe the year after I was. And there's some pictures of that. And some environmental students of the year. We've had 3 so far. So I have been doing environmental after school with the students for a number of years. I've worked with Meek even before we had a STEM program. I worked with them when I was at Lincoln in elementary as well, just because they had so many great programs for the students to participate in, and they provided grants for us to be able to take field trips and have opportunities for the students. And that was one thing that I brought with me when we came over to the STEM program. And it was just extra exciting that I got to have the modules that I did all kind of tied in together and made this wonderful program for the kids. We've had lots of teacher learning opportunities. I have been Honeywell Green Boot Camp and also was selected to be one of 25 teachers in the whole entire United States to participate in the Fulbright U.S. Teacher Exchange Program. And I was in Japan for 3 weeks for Education for Sustainable Development. Ms. Hazard and I also participated in the Colorado workshop that Meek provided for water quality. So of course, when you do all these things, you want to bring everything that you learn and see back into the classroom or back into your school so that all of the students can participate. And Japan, that was something that was just so life-changing because they are very sustainable in their schools. They're very sustainable in their and just their daily living. It's a whole entire community effort. And so that was something that I saw that I wanted to make sure that I could bring back to my school. We've got the Project Lead the Way modules that also help and shape this program. I have Energy in the Environment. And you can see here the students are using the AutoCAD program to be able to create and design and prototype wind turbine blades. They have to test them out before they could actually start building them. And then they actually get to build and put them together and see how much energy they can harness, how much energy they have to. They've got 3 different tasks that they have to do and complete successfully. So there's a lot of redesigning and building happening, but they're already starting to think about how to go green, how to reduce their carbon footprint. We also have green architecture, which teaches them how to do the building with the green materials and how do we have sustainable housing and what does it take to be able to make sustainable societies. Field trips are key as well. And that's another thing that Meek is just wonderful with providing us Enviro bus bucks. Every single year, I take the students to Cal Portland and they get to work with engineers and find out what it's like to have the different engineering careers in a sustainable cement plant. So the whole entire plant is run from renewable energy, which is something that's just phenomenal for them to see. And they get to work with the engineers. They get to have their hard hats on. They get to build and they get to create. They get to actually do some hands-on while they're there on that as well. Present experiences, which I'm working on right now, all the grants just came through. Enviro Bus Bucks grants allow for us to have an environmental field trip every year. School Garden Grant is something that my after-school program is going to definitely be focusing on a lot this year, is getting that sustainable garden going. The EE grant allows for us to pick an environmental project as well, and they give us money to be able to do the project with the students. Here is the environmental club at one of the events that they have every year. It went from being a Yelp conference to an environmental maker fair. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. My team is with me, and we are with Joel Green, who is the keynote speaker, who also has his own PBS show that's called Curiosity Quest. And it's all about recycling and renewable energy. The kids were very, very excited about that. So the Yelp Environmental Maker Fair, every single year I get to take the students that are part of my environmental team, and we get to go and participate. It used to be the Youth Environmental Leadership Conference, where they worked and they went through stations and workshops, and they got to pick a service learning project that they wanted to focus on for the school year. Now it's kind of leaned more towards a maker fair. It's an environmental maker fair. So they wanted to design it so the students weren't just learning about a service learning project. They were actually learning to create the things necessary to be able to implement a project school-wide or community-wide. And you can see here, I've got students sitting in a solar car. We've got the kids presenting their recycling project. They built a solar water fountain. Even last year, it was phenomenal. I had a lot of students that were kind of worried that they weren't going to get to do the things that we normally did because we're virtual. And they actually had the virtual environmental maker fair. They sent bags in for the students to pick up with all of the materials. The kids we went in on a Saturday, and we were there in our Zoom meeting, building and making away. So you could see Valerie doing that in the top right-hand corner. She was making a mousetrap vehicle. The kids got to still participate even though they couldn't physically be there. And I thought that was just wonderful, especially for our 8th graders, because they had been in the after school program with me since 6th grade. And they were just super bummed that they were going to have to miss out their 8th grade year, and they didn't have to. Service learning projects are so important for the students, just to understand that even though they're young, they still have the power to be able to make a difference, we focus a lot on reducing the carbon footprint. What are things that we could do to reverse damages that have been done? And this is one of their service learning projects. They wanted to focus on what it would take to be able to make a whole entire community sustainable. And so they did some prototyping with Minecraft education. We had an environmental engineer come out from Northrop Grumman to talk to the students about their ideas. They had to use recyclable materials to actually build their city, and they had to have something in their cities running on a renewable energy source. So some of them had solar panels on their projects. Some of them had the wind turbines hooked up. Some of them had hydrogen fuel cells that were working in their cities. Some of them were also trying to power things with potatoes and trying to do that whole biofuel. It was absolutely wonderful just to see. They have so many great ideas. We've had Earth Day activities. We have had them come up with recycling. This year, a big focus is that they want to do is to make it so that our cafeteria isn't having waste, that we're able to put things in recycle or compost. On their own too, the kids go out. You can see one of the students does desert cleanup and desert pickups, and they do the same thing down at the beach. We had another student that was doing the same thing at the Painted Turtle Ranch, where one of her family members was working, and so she was going out there and doing the cleanup because there was a lot of trash and things that had blown in from outside the area. The kids participate every year in a solar oven competition. They usually have it in Victorville at the museum. And it's great because they'll have a taco truck for the kids. They have slushies, and the kids just kind of get to sit there all day and take turns going into the museum and watching their solar ovens. They have to build and construct the solar ovens. They have to before they can even enter the competition, they have to give their design plans, what type of solar oven they're going to be using, the materials they use to make it. They have to come up with a recipe. They need to have a 3-course meal. It has to have an appetizer, a main course, and a dessert. They have to prepare everything there. We don't get to bring anything that's been already cooked. They have to bring all of their raw ingredients. They have to cut them, prepare them, and get them into their solar ovens and sit and wait all day for them to cook, which takes a lot of preparation, a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error on our part with getting those things prepared in advance. But it's such a great experience. The top prize for that is $500. And you can see here some of their different solar ovens. Last year, they did the competition, which was very nice for the kids virtually. They had to provide them with videos of the whole entire design process, what they cooked. They had to show themselves cooking, the time that they did it. And we had one of our students, one of our 8th graders won the $500 prize, which was really exciting for that student because we went out in March and it was right before their solar oven competition. They had everything built. They were ready to go and then school shut down. So the student was ready and very, very excited. Was exciting for us as well. They have poster contests. They come out every month. And so the kids participate in that. We have our one for this month that they're going to be doing, but this was the last one that we had at the end of last school year for recycling. And again, the student won, and it was a $60 first prize that they won. They got a gift card. And for the future of our environmental club, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Gladfelter to talk about the.
So I just want to thank Ms. DeGama so much for her work, because all of the things you see here involve hours and hours of planning, preparation, dedication. My hat's off to her for all of that work that goes into some of the grants that fund these things, because these things don't come free. Some of them aren't cheap. But we do have opportunities to apply for grants. So we want to thank the board for approving the grants we've done in the past to go to some of these places. We are also positioning ourselves so that once we can have field trips to places like Cal Portland, which I've been to Virgin Galactic and I got to see a spaceship. But I went to Cal Portland and that was even a better field trip. It was amazing watching something explode on the ground in front of you and learning the science behind it and learning about how environmental engineers do their work, and to see the kids' faces light up with excitement about all of these things. It's huge. Teaching kids that growing food is not wasting water. It's teaching them how to become the future backyard gardeners, if not the farmers of America. And I think we'll have some of those as well. So our kids go on to do a lot of different things, and sharing with them this great background in environmentalism gets them excited about school. It's a huge for motivating them to want to work each day. And we look forward to some exciting things to come. We're looking at a Green Ribbon Schools nomination form and going for that through the U.S. Department of Education. So that's on the horizon as well as a possibility. I think we'll need some support to get some of the information and materials ready for that. But that is something that we're definitely interested in doing in the future. So I want to thank Ms. DeGama, though, for her work in making all of this possible. So thank you. Any questions or anything for her? Yeah.
Excuse me, do you have a question? Are these grants that you're getting, you're going after them yourself?
So MEEK makes the grants available to everybody. Anyone that is working in education within their service area can apply for them. So every year, as soon as Samantha Murray sends them out, I make sure that I figure out which projects we want to do for our after school program or what we need maybe to go towards the school garden project. And I get the grants written and submit them, and then they're approved.
So all of those go through board approval.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for that too.
Mr. Giles, did you have a comment as well? Oh, Mr. TV.
Let's say a lot of neat projects. Yeah, great job.
We're already set. We're starting Monday for the new year, and so they've got their first service learning project. We have an abundance of plastic grocery store bags, so they're going to be turning those into jump ropes.
Oh, nice.
Which is great. Repurposing. They're very excited about that.
Yeah, I just want to tell you, great program too. And if you guys could hook up a Tesla, and I know since they're only 8th grade, if you guys get a car, I can help you with that part of it. So you just put myself out there. If you guys get a Tesla, I'll be happy to help. Do some research, whatever you need, because I have a driver's license. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Gladfelter. And Ms. DeGama, thank you for all that you're doing. Wonderful work. And congratulations on that solar oven thing. Although if I'm really hungry, I'm going to have to go for the real oven.
Thank you very much. There was a lady that just came in. I would ask that you put your mask on in the back row.
Thank you.
We'll move on to number 12, presentations, requests, proposals, and reports.
That's it. Beginning. All right, now you use this to.
Mr. Coleman, I believe we have some extra masks. Thank you.
All right. So I have this opportunity, wonderful opportunity to be able to provide you with an overview of this next plan that we're looking to work through. It's called our Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief 3 plan. So this is commonly known as the ESSER plan. It's part of the funding that we received from the American Rescue Plan, the ARP. So just making sure everybody's aware of that. Looking forward to being able to let you know a little bit about what we're doing. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to hold on. There we go. All right. So to provide a little bit of an overview, the purpose of this presentation is going to be basically to provide you with an overview of what the plan is, or first of all, what ESSER is about, what we're allowed to do with this funding, and then what Lancaster School District is looking to do at this point. We're not totally done with all stakeholder engagement. We're still in the process of receiving specific information via some other avenues. So we want to make sure that we're continuously looking back at it, but we do have some things on paper and some ideas and we're ready to go. And hopefully we'll be submitting that for board approval on October, I believe, 19th, is the hope that we're going to be ready to go with that. So with that said, I want to call your attention back to a slide that we actually presented to you literally 2 weeks ago. This is going to come. This should not come as a surprise. We talked about the local control and accountability plan. We talked about the school plan for student achievement. We've talked about all of our PD plans. We've talked about our CSACE plan. I can't remember the acronym for that one for the life of me, and I keep on trying to jump off on it, but that's one that falls away from me. We have our EL master, our English learner master plan, and all these others. We've had ESSER 1, ESSER 2. So there's so many different things that we've been revolving around in the work that we've been doing. However, the idea behind it that I really want to hammer home on this one is the fact that all of these plans are revolving or have something to do or have some type of tie right back to our local control and accountability plan. Without that tie, we don't plan on doing a whole bunch of new. We are planning on expanding on what we've already planned on doing and doing it quicker and doing it in different ways. So I wanted to make sure that was, if we're trying to raise academics, this is going to help us do this. If we're going to try to raise our ability to keep kids safe, keep teachers safe, keep people safe inside the classrooms, and this is a way that we can do it. It's another set of funding for us to be able to make that happen. So some funds to address the COVID-19. So I wanted to make sure that you've again been aware, you've seen in the media, in the news, on all the popular news stations, that there's been funding that is consistently coming out. We presented to you the Expanded Learning Opportunities Grant just last year in June. You'll remember that one. You'll understand that the LCAP was presented to you last year with the funding with a funding plan tied to it, because that's the piece of what we consistently are looking back to. And you've also seen ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3 that were coming out all as a direct result of how the district was going to deal with what our response was going to be to the COVID-19 pandemic and how we were going to be able to mitigate any huge situations that are coming through. So this presentation specifically is going to focus solely on the ESSER 3 plan, which is again tied back to every other plan that we've got going in this district. So the ESSER 3 requirements. Want to make sure that everybody's aware that it's just like the LCFF funds, local control funding formula funds. ESSER 3 must include community input and meetings. We have to complete a set of assurances saying we shall do this, and this is what we're going to do how we're going to be looking at the funding. And it also has to have a piece that was original that had to be submitted earlier, I believe in July. That was basically our basically saying that we were going to return kids back to campus. or that our goal was to be able to get kids back into in-person instruction. So the ESSER 3 expenditure plan, which is mainly this, is going to be a plan that has to be approved by the board. Like I said, it has to be done before October 29th. And it has to be sent to our governing age or one of our agencies for their approval, Los Angeles County Office of Education. Our goal is to present a final version of the plan to you on October 19th. However, you will have a plan. If you don't already have a draft of the plan, you'll have that plan set to you so you can start reviewing it. So some of the allowable expenditures that go along with this are just like the funds that we've done with our local control and accountability plan. A lot of it focuses on the activities that we can do to address all of the conditions or situations that may revolve around our low income children, issues that may areas for us to be able to mitigate any issues or compensate for any educational loss that they may have through the COVID-19 pandemic. Focusing on children with disabilities, EL students, any issues having to do with any of the foster youth or homeless children as well. It also provides for us the ability to be able to purchase educational technology, hardware, software, connectivity issues that we know are that would arise. And on top of that, connectivity issues that we know that even though they're taken care of now, we need to make sure that we are staying in front of the game to make sure that we are not allowing any connectivity issues to happen in the future. So we want to make sure that those pieces are in place. So the ESSER 3, some further allowable expenditures, I'm just going to highlight one of the main ones here is that piece having to do with mental health services and support, and those pieces having to do with summer learning and making sure that we're being able to, at the back end of this, being able to use some of this funding to be able to extend learning. And those pieces, all of these are significant pieces to our ESSER 3 plan. But the main piece that needs to be taken into consideration is the fact that a lot of these pieces that we have in place that are being planned for within our ESSER 3 plan have already been put into place. And in some cases are already paid for out of other plans. So when you're looking at the plan, you're going to see that there are things that have a $0 tied to them. And the reason they have a $0 tied to them is because AB 86 or the ELO plan or the Extended Learning Opportunities Plan will be compensating the funding for it. We'll be providing the funding for that. So, but our goal as a district was to make sure that we were making sure that the community knows that just because it's not in the ESSER 3 plan doesn't mean we're not doing it. We wanted to make it very evident that we're doing a lot of good work. So the written ESSER expenditure 3 plan, this plan must allocate funds in 3 separate categories, one of which is addressing the impact of lost instructional time. The second one talks about strategies for continuous and safe in-person learning. How are we going to keep kids? How not only are we returning kids to campuses, but how are we keeping them there? Once we got them there, we have to be able to keep them on campus and keep them safe, secure, as healthy as possible. And then the final piece, which is kind of a nice little one for us, Dr. Bowers always likes these little ones that says that use of any of those remaining funds that we're able to, which are still restricted. There's still ways in which you have to be able to spend it, but maintaining in terms of that those allowable expenses. But that's that third piece that we write towards. Okay, the addressing the impact of lost instructional time. So for this particular one, some suggestions that are focused on from the state and from our county offices, in-school intervention programs, pieces like that, tutoring programs. How this all focuses on how are we addressing the learning, any lost instructional time, and they're very clear to say lost instructional time inside of this plan template. Talks about tutoring, Saturday school, summer school, all these pieces that we're already doing. And these are ways in which we can expand on what we're already doing. I want to make that clear. Intersessions, winter break, spring break, all these pieces that we're still have in place that we've already planned for through our LCAP and all these other plans, ESSER 3 allows us to do them even better. For Lancaster's particular look at this is how we have, these are some of the highlights and the main ideas that we're looking at in terms of this, that we're looking at in putting funding towards. The first one being addressing the needs of the Lancaster Virtual Academy. We know that school blew up, huge amounts of kids. We expected a few amount of kids, and we got a lot more than we expected. So we need to address that. This is a place where we can address that. Sustaining the support of students through our paraeducators. We have that planned for, a piece of that's planned for through our Extended Learning Opportunities Grant. This can be expanded or extended through our ESSER 3 plan. Sustaining the various technology enhancements as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, i.e. Parent Locker, Edgenuity, those pieces that are supporting our online learning and even our in-person classroom learning. we're able to extend that and make sure that keeps going. And then on top of that, ensuring student access to technology. Obviously, that's a huge deal for us because we have to do that at this point. Strategies for continuous and safe in-school learning. The big pieces that we're looking at maintaining are obviously personal protective equipment. We need to make sure our kids are going to have that. Our kids, our teachers, our administrators, all of our staff have the relevant equipment to be able to stay safe and healthy throughout the time so that we can keep kids on campus. Again, keeping kids on campus is the goal here. And then finally, then there's also ongoing training on proper procedures for cleaning. So that's another piece that we can provide funding for, along with our contracts with Alliance and our wellness rooms, and being able to work with COVID testing. Keeping safe and secure campuses as well is also a big deal with us. This fits into some of the pieces that we put in with restorative campuses and that kind of thing that we were able to put in place. So Lancaster's take for this was the maintenance of ground, our MAGUs. Our maintenance and grounds utilities workers. So we have these people consistently in place. We're allowed to hold on to them and keep them moving forward. We're increasing the support for personnel in the form of supervision aides. The need for more people to make sure that we are keeping social distancing alive and well in Lancaster School District and keeping, kids in a relatively safe place. That's the goal of that particular piece. Contracts for custodial services and additional custodial staff, making sure that there's cleaning happening and that we're doing what we need to make sure that the classrooms are safe physically in terms of fit for health. Wellness aids to support testing and contact tracing and personal protective equipment obviously is something that we're planning on keeping around. This final piece talks about the use of any remaining funds. The main pieces we're looking at here, or that the state suggests here, are the use of social emotional professional development pieces, as well as summer bridge programs, so that we can bridge kids moving in from one grade level to the next, or from one grade strand to the next. So a suggestion at some point might be something like a student who's going from elementary school, like at Miller, from 6th grade into 7th grade at Emergosa Creek, so that there's some type of bridge there for them to be able to be acclimated to the site. Here, currently, what we have planned for is school facilities, repairs, and improvements. We know we need to do this through our upgrades to our air conditioning units, and modifications to ensure social distancing, to make sure that that's, again, going to stay present for as long as we're in this position that we're in right now. And as well as we've allotted some for structured play. We currently, some of our sites are using Playworks. We want to make sure that that's available later on down the road. So with that said, that's the majority of what the presentation looks like right now. That's the majority of what we're looking for in the plan. We're handing you over a draft of the plan. Still going to be talking to our stakeholders to make sure that what we are looking at is looking good for them, and that they're in agreement, and we should move forward. So if there's any questions, I'm willing to take.
Mr. Giles?
Structured play. That's one of the last things you said. What can you give me an example of structured play?
Man, this is a wonderful situation. When I was a principal, I had this on my campuses. It's right now, currently, we have a program called Playworks in place where this is a program where kids are our campus supervisors are trained on how to train students how to play in specific areas. So kids might be assigned to play basketball for this week, or assigned to play a couple of different sports for a particular period of time. So what it does, Mr. Giles, is that it actually cuts down on disturbances on the playground, cuts down on behaviors on the playground, because now that kid who generally had nothing to do now is assigned something to do. So it's an awesome program. Awesome program. I love it. Yes, sir. PP.
Good.
You had a question. Do we still owe any money on that learning app that we were using? I think it was Footsteps to Brilliance.
Oh.
And if so, can we use some of this funding to help pay for that?
We've already taken care of that, actually. Yeah. So about a year ago, we were able to make sure that was done, and the program was at the beginning of the pandemic, the program was being heavily utilized by ECE, and that was one of the things we relied on, and just utilized iPads at the beginning of the pandemic. So we have been implementing it at that level, and we were able to fully pay off that.
Oh, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the plan will be brought for your consideration and approval at the next board meeting, and then we will be able to go ahead and move forward with submitting it. there's no further questions, Dr. Goins, thank you very much. If you do have something that you think about between now and the next board meeting, please don't hesitate to let us know. Thank you. That completes our presentations this evening. And one thing I just want to, again, share with the board, my apologies. I noticed one thing under addressing the board, we didn't have the portion for comments from PTA for the comments. So once you read the addressing the board, we'll make sure that that gets added. We have a different platform this time, so we're still making some adjustments here, but we'll make sure that that gets added next time. But once you read the addressing the board, then we will do comments. I have comments this evening.
Thank you. Number 13, addressing the board. Board members will be utilizing electronic devices during this meeting to access the online agenda, and an electronic device may be used to record this meeting. Individuals who wish to address the board may complete a speaker card and present it to the superintendent's secretary. The board president shall recognize individuals who wish to speak. Individuals wishing to present testimony to the board concerning specific items on the agenda may do so once the item has been moved, seconded, and is on the floor for discussion. Time limits of 3 minutes per person, 20 minutes per item shall be allowed for Board Bylaw 9322. Board members may ask questions for clarification purposes. However, no action may be taken and no discussion may take place on an item not on the proposed the posted agenda for the Brown Act. So, with that, anyone from PTA?
No comments from PTA this evening.
From the CSEA?
I do not have any requests from CSEA for comments this evening.
And the Teachers Association?
I've not received anything from Mrs. Whipple, and I do not believe there's any representatives here to speak on behalf of TAL this evening.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
There are comments from the audience.
Very good.
Okay. First, we actually have 2 speaker cards from 2 individuals. The first one is Sandra, and I apologize if it's Ramirez. Is there a Sandra here? Oh, please. I'm sorry, Sandra. I didn't get your last name correctly, but I have a card request for you to speak.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's Sandra Romerheim.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Okay, so I just want to come tonight and express my concerns on all these mandates that we have in place. I know that the mandates come from the state, but it is unlawful. And I wanted to bring to especially the whole vaccination thing. I'm vaccinated only because I felt forced to. And because of that, I'm a single mom. And that vaccination actually caused a heart condition. So, and now they're finding out that it doesn't even, this COVID has a 99% survival rate. And mind you, we still had COVID and I still took it home to the kids. So I ask that you guys kind of look into that and see if you can take a stand, because like I said, it is against the law, and it's not a law for us to have the vaccination. It's a mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have a speaker card request from Mickey Martinez.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Mickey Martinez, and I teach 5th grade at John and Jacqueline Miller Elementary School. This is my 19th year as a teacher for Lancaster School District. I've served on several committees over the course of my years teaching, both at the site and district level. I have mentored new teachers. I have facilitated teacher collaboration meetings held unpaid on our own time, all for the betterment of our school district. I have brought all 3 of my children out of the West Side School District to be taught by our amazing Lancaster School District teachers. That is how much I love and support our district. The reason I'm telling you this is because if our district continues to follow the governor's tyrannical mandates, and we are eventually required to be fully vaccinated in order to remain employed with our district, one of you will be faced with the task of firing me because I will not be taking the vaccination yet. I say yet because I'm not saying I will never take it, but I am not ready to take it yet, and especially unwilling to take it under threat, duress, and coercion. Submitting to weekly testing when asymptomatic is already going against my personal beliefs, but under threat of losing my job until hopefully these mandates are overturned and I am forced to be segregated into a second class of citizens and identified as unvaccinated and go on my personal time to my primary care facility to take a saliva test. I keep hearing testing is available on campus during school hours. However, I have the right to my privacy. Testing at our site is not only lacking privacy, it leaves us subject to scrutiny for being unvaccinated by our peers as well as students. I've spent 19 years in our district teaching our youth about our American freedoms, and those freedoms are being stripped from us right now. It would be hypocritical of me to tell them all about the men and women that have laid down their lives so that we can remain the land of the free and then just submit to the government's demands, which are essentially stripping us of our medical privacy and medical freedom. I will not do that to my former students, my present students, and especially my children. I'm not a liar, I'm not a hypocrite, and I am not going to waver in my beliefs. I realize I'm saying this prematurely as forced vaccination has not been implemented yet, but we still have the option to submit to weekly testing implemented by October 15th for the unvaccinated. But my assumption is that the next level demand will be implemented soon. I'm not ready to take the shot. I'm not willing to risk my children losing their mom based on bullying and coercive tactics that are coming from the state, but being implemented by the district. The district I've loved and been so proud to have worked in for the past 19 years. I'm not willing to risk my children losing me over being forced to take a shot I'm not willing to take yet for a virus with 99% survival rate. At this point in my life, knowing what I know about COVID and the extremely high survival rate, knowing someone can still get and pass on COVID after taking the vaccination, I'm willing to take my chances without the shot. I'm not willing to lose my freedom. I stand by my beliefs so firmly that I will not waver, and I sure as heck will not get that shot until I am well, good, and ready. I am not alone in my beliefs. And should the currently unlawful mandate one day become a law, you will be firing many highly qualified, highly experienced educators, paraeducators, office staff, custodians, kitchen workers, district office employees. The list goes on. It was stated in our superintendent's most recent newsletter that the COVID cases in our district were significantly less than 1%. We are being stripped of our right to medical privacy and medical freedom. We are being segregated and eventually ostracized due to our vaccination status over a virus with a 99% survival rate. The government is using fear to coerce us into submission. I love the Lancaster School District. I love working for the Lancaster School District. However, I love my family and my freedom more. And I am not willing to lose either over a forced shot and unnecessary invasive testing brought on by tyrannical mandates. I am aware the mandates come from the state, but are you aware of how unlawful they are? By enforcing these mandates as a school board, you are being complicit in the violation of rights and of staffs and students, including specifically Amendment 5, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without due process of law. Mandates are not laws. As well as Article 6, Paragraph 2, stating the Constitution as being the supreme law of the land. In the constitutional law section of the 16th American Jurisprudence, second edition, Section 98, no emergency has just cause to suppress the Constitution. along with violating actual laws. Enforcing these mandates is severing the camaraderie that has made our district unique from other districts. I'm not sure you realize how absolutely torturous these past few months of school have been for many of us. Don't get me wrong. I'm thrilled to be back on campus with our students every single day. However, due to the stress of the impending mandates, I, like others, have been losing sleep, getting constant headaches, and have even had to visit the doctor for a newfound anxiety. It is unfair to ask us to choose between our personal and or religious beliefs and keeping our job over a shot that does not prevent someone from getting the virus or passing it on. It makes absolutely no sense. The stress of that decision is unbearable, and I implore you to help your employees maintain their God-given, unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by pushing against the mandates that have already begun to tear our district apart. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have one other comment that was actually emailed in from Laura Giles, and I'm prepared to read that.
Please do.
Okay. Dear Lancaster School District Board of Trustees, Superintendent, and Leadership Team, I would like to thank each one of you for the effort that you have put into trying to create a safe environment for our students to return to in-person education. I understand your intention is not to harm our kids, but to create a safe learning environment for them. While your intentions are well-meaning, I feel that there is great harm being done to our children in requiring them to wear masks indoors, to quarantine and disrupt their learning even further, and the upcoming vaccine mandate by the state. I would like to address all three of these issues. First of all, masking children without knowing the real benefits. While there is great evidence of the actual harm that it does to children psychologically, physically, and developmentally. This is from one of the many articles I found on the subject entitled "The Downsides of Masking Young Students Are Real" by Vinay Prasad. Dr. Prasad is a hermatologist and oncologist and associate professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at UC San Francisco. In the article, she begins by stating, scientists have an obligation to strive for honesty. And on the question of whether kids should wear masks in schools, particularly preschools and elementary schools, here is what I conclude. The potential educational harms of mandatory masking policies are much more firmly established, at least at this point, than their possible benefits in stopping the spread of COVID-19 in schools. To justify the continued masking of school kids with no end date in sight, we have to prove that masks benefit kids and at what ages. States and communities that are considering masking policies just to be safe should recognize that being overly cautious has a cost, while the benefits are uncertain. For most able-bodied adults, masks in public indoor settings pose only minor inconveniences, but children who even among the worrisome Delta variant surge are experiencing serious outcomes from COVID-19 at far lower rates than people in older age groups are, have different needs and vulnerabilities than adults. Early childhood is a crucial period when humans develop cultural language and social skills, including the ability to detect emotion on other people's faces. Social interaction with friends, parents, and caregivers are integral to fostering children's growth and well-being. I'm including a complete copy of this article for the record. I recently wrote a letter to the LA County Health Director asking her, quote, if masks reduce COVID-19 transmission in children, end quote. Her response was as follows. We do not have a direct answer available at this time, but we do have sources and information that you might find available or find helpful, In studies of open schools in America and around the world, children do not seem to be major sources of transmission, either to each other or to adults. In fact, the greatest risk in school settings comes from adults transmitting it to other adults, often in settings like break rooms where we sometimes let our guard down. The growing body of evidence, and that was a quote from the response. The growing body of evidence is particularly strong for lower risk associated with elementary schools. Even in communities with many COVID cases, we do not see many outbreaks in schools. I've checked the TK-12 school COVID-19 data dashboard on the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health website and found they firmly state that test positivity in schools is low. Test positivity demonstrates how widespread infection is in the testing area. Since schools have opened, test positivity has remained very low, under 1% among teachers, students, and staff that have been tested. Now I'd like to address the policy of the quarantine of healthy children. I was not able to find the information that shows whether children who are quarantined from an exposure to another student became positive for COVID themselves, secondary infection. I will continue to look for this information, but I would ask you, is it really worth interrupting the education of healthy children for almost 2 weeks? Their LA County own data suggests that children are not transmitting COVID to other children in the school setting. In a recent article in the Washington Post entitled, "School Quarantines Keep Too Many Kids at Home with Barely Any Effect on COVID." We now have clear, and this is a quote from that article, we now have clear and reproducible outcomes across the country showing what secondary spread in schools looks like. Large population-based studies in Wisconsin, North Carolina, Utah, and New York City have demonstrated secondary transmission rates of less than 1% in school classroom and bus settings, end quote. Even more importantly, a new quote, even more importantly for our argument, a mere 0.2% of LA students sent home to quarantine tested positive for the coronavirus. Next quote, keeping thousands of kids out of school to prevent a handful of coronavirus cases is unjustifiable. An excessive use of quarantine causes children to fall behind educationally and cuts at-risk kids off from an important support system, end quote. I am including a complete copy of this article for the record. Lastly, as for the governor's latest mandate, vaccination for all children kindergarten through 12th grade. This is no longer about following the science. The science already has shown that children under age 21 are far less likely to die from COVID-19 than from the regular flu. Why would we vaccinate children for a virus that does not pose a significant health risk to them? Ask yourself, what science is the governor following that he mandates a vaccine for children 5 to 11 that is not even FDA approved? As for 12 to 17-year-olds, it is only an emergency authorization and is still not FDA approved. Isn't this political and mandating ahead of the science? I encourage you to adopt a Healthy Children's Resolution. Send it to the governor, California Department of Health, Los Angeles Department of Health, senators, and our representatives. Express your concerns about mandating a vaccine for children that does not prevent illness actually getting the virus or transmitting the virus. It only reduces the severity of the virus, a virus that children already do not have serious outcomes from. Join with other districts that have also adopted a Healthy Children's Resolution, Newhall School District, Orange County School Board, Alpine School District, Placer County School District, El Dorado County School District, and many others. Put the health of our children before the political mandates of a tyrannical governor. Thank you, Laura Giles. That concludes comments this evening.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Move on to 14, individual action items from the superintendent, and that is the adoption of resolution 2021-22.6, board member compensation for missed meetings for Miss Sandra Price. May I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. TP, second by Miss Grooms. Have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Vote passes 4-0. the adoption of the resolution 2021-22.7, resolution on healthy children.
So
The
moved.
motion
So moved.
moved by Mr. Keith Giles,
Second.
second by Mr. Greg Tebe. Any discussions?
Yeah, I just want to say that our intention is for health and safety of the children and staff. And I know we're all learning about this as we go along. But from everything that I've seen, the science and how it affects children, it's very minimal. And I think anything we can do to support being able to get the kids to be able to be at school without masks and to regain more parental controls. I think the state is taking over too many controls at a time when I don't think the science that they're saying really supports what they're trying to push through. So with that in mind, I support the Healthy Children resolution, and hopefully we can get some resolution as to what's best for kids in our district.
Ms. Groves?
Yes, I have read this, and I have read each one of the footnotes on the proposed resolution. I don't feel that the existing data that's quoted in this resolution is sufficient for me to change from the mandate. I believe the entire issue has been politicized. I also feel that if we are going to have a resolution on healthy children, we must also contain information that expresses our concern for our staff and our community as well. And that at that point, then I can consider this one. But at this point, with the current footnotes and references, I cannot support this resolution.
Be happy to make another resolution to support our families and our staff as well. This one's for children. We're always saying we're children first, so that's why this one's first, in my opinion. But I agree, we might need one for the staff as well. We've heard some concerned staff members, so I believe we're going to be going down this road for a while.
And I would be open to holding this over for a future meeting so that we have time to give input to a different wording on this resolution.
I'm willing to call for the question.
Well, I'm going to weigh in just a little by saying that I agree with the fact that this is a very political issue. I do believe some of the footnotes and that part of this agenda are part of this resolution are old data. And I think right now that I would ask for this resolution to be taken off the agenda for tonight and brought back up, having looked at it from staff, teachers, and everyone else.
So I would need a motion to pull it, and then it would need a vote.
Right.
And if that does not pass, then we would have to vote because this has already been motioned. So you would go back to vote on this action. So if you are.
I wouldn't mind amending the motion to just dropping the footnotes. I think it carries fine just without, if you want to correct grammar and drop the footnotes, I'm fine with it.
Personally, I feel that making reference to data is important in this one. And I just feel that the data that is cited in this particular resolution is outdated or is not from a time period that we are living in now, but is from much earlier in the pandemic. And we know a lot more things now. So I would be open to tabling this item to a future date so that we could look at the wording of this. But I do feel we need to have some reference so that the rest of the community can understand where we came upon those conclusions.
Mr. Nguyen, if I hear that there's discussion, if this is going to be pulled, I need a motion and a second to consider that.
Do I have a motion to pull item B from the agenda for tonight?
I make a motion to table this item to our next meeting to allow time for additional input and data collection.
Do I have a second? I'll second the motion. Do we have a vote? Let's do a personal vote.
An individual vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Grooms.
On the motion to table this item until our next meeting, I vote aye.
Mr. Giles.
Nay.
Mr. Nguyen. Aye. Mr. TV.
Nay.
So the motion does not pass with a vote of 2-2?
That's correct. So we still have open item B, adoption of a resolution of healthy children. We'll have another vote. It will be individual and by name. Diane Grooms.
And this would be in favor of the resolution as it reads currently.
Correct.
Yes.
I vote nay.
Mr. Giles.
Yes. Aye.
Mr. Nguyen. Nay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Nay. Mr. Teepee.
Aye.
The motion does not pass on a vote of 2-2?
Correct.
Okay, can we put it on the next agenda with some of the corrections, and I can get you some new data that makes you happy.
We can definitely work on it. And in order for it to get on the next board agenda, we have to have it prepared a week in advance. So we will do our best to have something amended to bring back.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to 15, individual action item by Human Resource. Approval of appointment of Principal Misty Gale.
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles.
Second.
Second by Diane Grooms. Is there any?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen. It's my pleasure to bring the board for your consideration the appointment of Misty Gale as principal in the Lancaster School District. Just to give you a little bit of history of Misty Gale, Misty came to our district about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. She served as an assistant principal at Amargosa, Nancy Quarry, and Desert View. Most recently, she has served as the interim principal at Desert View, opening the school for this school year in the absence of the principal. And she did a stellar job. We're really pleased with her commitment and her work ethic and her leadership. Prior to coming to us, she served as a teacher for 14 years in a district whose name shall not be mentioned to the south of us. And she taught grades 3 through 5. She served as a teacher leader in many capacities. She coordinated musicals there. She was a big advocate of college and career readiness. She helped develop the IB program at the Palmdale Learning Plaza. She was the gate coordinator. And tonight, we'd like to propose that she become the next principal in the Lancaster School District.
Thank you. What was that school district you can't mention?
Did I say Palmdale School District?
Can't say Palmdale.
I did not. Never from my mouth.
All right, let's have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, with pleasure.
No negative votes. Passes 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And we do have Misty sitting back there. Would you like to say anything? Thank you. And who do you have with you?
Sorry for him.
You were going to be unnamed as well, Ron, this evening, but we weren't letting her get away with that. Thank you and congratulations. You're doing a wonderful job, Misty. We greatly appreciate you and look forward to your continued success at Desert View. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and welcome aboard, Misty.
It's in both feet.
Looking number 16, consent agenda items for the superintendent. 16A through 16H. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Keith Giles, second by Diane Grooms. Is there any discussion? I am happy to see the adoption of the items for the board policies and the administrative regulations. All necessary. With that, no further comments. We'll have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote passes 4-0. Item 17, consent agenda items for business. 17A through 17H.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Greg Teepee.
Second.
Second by Diane Grooms. Is there any discussion? I see we have a folder here on the actuarial studies. Is that something that one of the assistant superintendents wished to?
Dr. Freeze.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Bowers. Yes, Mr. Nguyen, that study is our annual GASB 7475, which is the Government Accounting Standards Board, required audit of the district's long-term liability associated with health benefits provided to our retirees and an annuity that's provided to our retirees. And so by law, we are required to analyze what that long-term liability is and report in a standard such as this. And so this report is a full report. And then on the off year, next year, we do something called the roll forward, which is kind of a smaller analysis that provides the same general results.
Are there any questions? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4-0, passes 4-0. Next will be item 18, and that is consent agenda items for ed services. 18A through 18J. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Teepee. Are there any questions? I think, Bart, we were all happy with those school plans presented at the last board member. And,
great presentations.
That would be a very easy one to pass.
Thank you.
Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Vote passes 4-0. Moving on to number 19. That is Human Resources Consent Agenda items, 19A through 19C.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Teepee, second by Diane Groves. Is there any discussion? Just one. That is, welcome back, Nancy Talbot. She just didn't have enough, huh? I don't think so. You're right. Yeah, I don't think so. All right. No further discussion or questions? Have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Vote passes 4-0. Consent agenda items for innovation and technology services, 20A through 20C. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Giles.
Second.
Second by Mr. Teepee. Well, are there any questions? With none, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Vote passes 4-0. Finally, the legislative and policy discussion. Second readings. And so, are there any questions? If not, I did have one on the state academic achievement tests. Is this going to be the way that we go this year? The achievement tests, Bart?
We will have a modified CASP test this year. So it'll basically be cut in half in terms of what's being offered. So yes, we will have for this CASP test, a science test for grades 5 and 8.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, we will be having a modified CASP test at this point. It's still on schedule to happen again in the spring. So this helps just provide that updated language to that work.
You don't know when we're going to return to CASP testing?
Full CASP?
Full CASP.
Not this year. This year would be a modified. It'll be like half the questions.
But it won't be iReady?
No, we will use the CASP.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any other questions? With none, we'll ask for comments from the board. We'll start with Ms. Grooms. Did I skip a page? Oh. Go ahead, Diane.
I skipped it too. No.
You didn't skip 6.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
6
All
was
right.
the study session from the school plans.
All right. I really thank everyone for all of the extra information. We have been doing a lot of research individually as board members, individually as staff and administrators of the district, and trying to be on top of the pandemic to limit the amount of lost learning. And I do so appreciate all the work that everyone's doing on this. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't have data that we can firmly believe has been offered on the basis of science and not politics. And I ask you to bear with us as we try to make the best decision for our staff, our children, their families, and our community at large. I strongly encourage all of you to stay participating with us, keep this in front of us, and that there is no comment that is not welcome to me. I really do appreciate the focus on this. None of us has ever experienced anything like this, and it will take us some time to get through this, but I commend everyone for all the efforts that we're doing on this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Giles.
You take over sorry. Appreciate all the SIPSs, Linda Verde, Miller, and New Vista. Appreciate the Fulton and Allsbury presentation about the environmental club. I found that very interesting, and looks like I have something I wish I could have done when I was younger. Still might want to do it. Looks pretty fun. Wanted to also put a shout out to all of the people making comments. I too have really loved being part of this district for over 20 years, and find this extremely hard, seeing my kids suffering and staff suffering and parents suffering through all this. And I know there's probably no one size fits all approach, but I have kids and I'm trying to do what's best for them. And I love our staff. I love our district. I love our people. So that's why I'm trying to at least get our leaders to listen, because our leaders are just not using the science that, a third grader would be looking at when you look at some of this stuff. So to me, it's political. To me, we're using our kids as pawns, and I don't like it. And I just think we need to get our public officials to be reasonable. And that's why I want to try to get a resolution just to say that we think I know what I want. I know what's best for my kids, but I think a lot of people know what's best for their kids too. So I just want to try to bring that forward to next meeting, and maybe we can get some newer footnotes if that makes everybody happy, and maybe we can bring it forward again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Teepee.
Great to see the input from a lot of different people, and keep the input coming in as we try to make the best decisions for our district. I know we're looking at all different angles, and so I know together we're going to make the best decision for our district and for the kids and for the staff. And with that, I'd like to give a round of applause to administrators for the coming up week of the administrator, and because they're juggling a lot of different things right now. So I really appreciate all the efforts they've been doing to make sure we keep following all the different things we need to be doing, and keeping the kids safe and so forth. And as I drive by the schools, I'm really pleased to see all the kids and teachers and everything, and things are going great. It's great to see that our attendance is going up. So that's awesome for our district, especially right now. And so a lot of great things happening. I'm hoping that with a little bit of tweaking, we can get that resolution brought back and work through the differences that we might have and pass a resolution that we can pass on to the state. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Great school plan presentations. And also that environmental club is really, really cool. Need to see all the extra work they're doing, and especially even after school programs for that. So keep up the great work, and also thank you, Mr. Goins, for the ESTER 3 plans. There's a lot that covers, so I'm glad we're able to do a lot of those funding for our schools with that. Great board meeting, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Bowers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nguyen. Would like to echo the comments from several board members. Thank you to everyone for the presentations. Outstanding job. Special thank you to Anik Dagama at Fulton and Allsbury, and the wonderful work that she's been doing for several years in developing that environmental club personally, and then the work that she's been doing with the students as well. Congratulations to Misty Gale back there. Full-fledged principal for Lancaster School District. And a special thank you to all of the administrators that I am really privileged to work with here in the school district as we celebrate Week of the School Administrator. Just really appreciate the opportunity to say thank you to them for all that they do each and every day. I'm very honored to be part of the administrative team here, Lancaster School District, and then also want to acknowledge the Antelope Valley School Boards Association Education Summit last week was very beneficial and informational. So while I didn't attend in person because it was kind of cold that night, but I did tune in virtually and appreciated all of the guest speakers and the information that was shared there. And I was told to share with Mr. Wynn that Julie Drake has the chicken. So there you have it.
Well, I was also going to mention that Julie Drake does have the chicken with her tonight, too. So for any of the board members or any of cabinet or administration, feed the chicken. Julie will appreciate it. And remember that it's all for the Antelope Valley School Board Association's scholarships. So whatever you can help Julie with, she would appreciate it. I'd also like to commend Misty for her new position. Thank you very much for accepting it. And you can walk down the corridors at Desert View and not get dripped on anymore. Huh? Dr. Freeze took care of that. So thank you both. Today is World Teacher Day. So thank you to the teachers out there.
It's also Be Kind Day today, too.
Be kind to teachers? Or
no, both Be Kind and Teachers Day.
There you go.
Maybe both.
It was a big day. There was a big road closures over at near Westwind School because of Steve Owens and Deputy Steve Owens and his anniversary. And it was well attended by city, both Palmdale and Lancaster. Let's see, what else do we have? Attendance? Yes. Lexi, thank you for the good news. We always like to see it increase. And it was perfect. I can't believe this will be Linda Verdi's first promotion. That is amazing. 36 students. Congratulations. I mean, that is big. That is big. To New Vista, 1994, when it was put in place. And that sticks in my mind because I spent the night outside in line to get my daughter in there. So it was cold, but it was worth it. It worked. And it got them started on the right track. And Miss DeGama, Miss Acer at Fulton Ellsbury for the work you did on these environmental clubs. 14 students in those clubs. It's great to see them. It gives them environmental now and robotics and a bunch of other clubs. And I know that the schools trying to do after school clubs and meetings is very difficult. And I can't wait till the parents can come back on the campuses and give way to the requests of all the principals I think we've had from the very get-go on the SIPSs, and that is getting parental help. We need it. We need it on the campuses. And with that, we will adjourn at 7:43.
So moved.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
First by Diane Groom, second by Keith Giles.
Greg.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Vote passes 4-0.
Thank you very
all very
much.
much for coming. See you next time.
Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.
You'll be only.